Should I be worried about how my husband talks about his female nemesis? I have this itch in my brain that I need to scratch. I 32F am married to my husband 33M for 5 years now. Recently, about a year ago, my husband's office hired a new employee. Let's call her Jess 25F. My husband would often complain about how stupid she is. Here are some list of complaints. She always tries to act smart even though she is a kid. She always laughs at silly little things which he finds annoying. He sometimes criticized her carefree nature. He once told me she was dressed like a clown, she just wore red lipstick. It feels like every time he comes from the office, it is always him complaining about her or what she did. And usually it is just some normal crap. He told me Jess teases him by calling him an old man. He really hates that. It feels like this girl Jess is always in his mind. The other day we went to shopping. I really liked a red shoe and asked my husband how I looked. He said it will look gorgeous on me. Then out of nowhere he said, "Thank God you do not have stinky feet like Jess. She always wears shoes that looks weird on her." And then proceed to say how much he hates her and that she is his nemesis. This was clearly out of nowhere. The thing that confirmed my suspicion is that he follows Jess on Instagram. We were sitting on our couch. I was watching a movie and he was scrolling through Instagram. He was on Jess's page literally binge watching her content. I mean, if he hates her and hates everything she does, then why is he stalking her? I did bring it up, and he said that I am being ridiculous, that I should know that he hates Jess. So thinking that there is something going on is making me look insecure. I do not know what to believe. My instincts tell me something else. But logically, if he hates someone that much, he wouldn't bring them up in every conversation. Where do I go next? Update. Well, I have answers now. They were having an emotional affair. I came to know of it when I checked my husband's phone. Don't give me all that crap about privacy. I pressed him hard on it, and he admitted he has a thing for her. He had taken day off from work so that they can go hiking or just hang out. He swears he didn't sleep with her or kissed her. I am not sure about that. Their chats look more like banter. I asked him, does he like her? He was hesitant, but eventually admitted having a crush on her. I asked why. Why does he have a crush on her when she is not someone who he likes? His logic. She makes me feel alive. She makes me do crazy things, and she has an energy that makes me feel special. I am hopeless. For months I have asked him to take a break, and we will go to Italy like we always wanted. He made nothing but excuses. I wanted to tell him he is chasing a fantasy. He likes the version of her she presented herself as. But who am I to convince a lovesick man who would cheat on his wife of 5 years just because she is not energetic? I left my house. I am staying with a friend. I haven't decided on divorce yet. I am scared to start over at 32. I want to become a mother, but that means I would waste my good years searching for another man. I cannot believe he is falling for the obvious manic pixie dream girl thing. If he really wanted energy and do crazy things, why couldn't he just say that? I would love to go hiking. I would love to skip work and just be outside with him all day. Yet he chooses a girl he claims he hates, but not really. He has been calling and texting me non-stop. He wants to work this out. He even offered to quit and change his job. But that's not going to solve anything, will it? Update 2. I do not know how to start this update. For those of you who don't know, yes, I am taking the divorce route. I do not think I can reconcile with him after what he confessed to. The day after I made my last post, my husband asked to talk to me. He said he is ready to be truthful because he doesn't want this to ruin our marriage. He is willing to try therapy and counseling. He said he does have a crush on her and oftentimes did fantasize about Jess. But they are just fantasies. Nothing more. He confessed that though there hasn't been any physical touch or contact, he did have a moment of weakness and they masturbated in front of each other. He swears he didn't touch her. They just jerked off in front of each other in his car. It was Jess's idea. She knew about his crush, but she has morals, so they found a weird loophole. I wish I was joking because this sounds unreal to me. He is still insisting that was the only sexual thing they did. Nothing more. He has been begging me to come back home. He goes from begging to blaming me, and when I said I want a divorce, he was cursing me. I have served him. I have yet to hear from him or his lawyer. I know some people will say I am making a huge mistake and that I am throwing this out easily, but I do not think I will be able to trust him again. If there is no trust in a relationship, then what is there? I am surprised my parents were on my side. My mom told me I shouldn't have to beg someone to love me or respect me. Him lying to me was a huge disrespect. That a relationship cannot survive if there is no respect. Also, I think I offended a lot of people from my last post because they thought I was saying women over 30 are old. I do not think that. But I grew up in a culture where women over 30 are considered leftover. Though my parents and family members do not think that, there are people around me who do, and it has been ingrained. I have tried hard to unlearn it, but there are some remnants. I do not know what the future holds for me. I am too depressed and angry to think that. P.S. Yes, I am in therapy. I have been in and out of therapy since 25. Update 3. Is keeping the marriage alive only responsibility of one person? My husband cheated on me with his coworker. I am divorcing him, yet the blame is on me. It is my fault that he cheated because he was bored of our marriage. Somehow it is my responsibility to keep my marriage. My parents are supportive, but majority of my relatives and friends are not. To them, his cheating was not cheating because there was no sex technically, especially when my brother is berating me for leaving my marriage. He thinks I am giving up on my marriage way too easily and that I should grow up and fix it rather than breaking it. But I have my doubts. Why is it my burden to fix it? I didn't break it. I was a loyal wife to him. I never strayed. Isn't marriage supposed to be about mutual input? I see a lot of women and men cave into this narrative that they are breaking up the family by divorcing their cheating spouses. I am just frustrated about this push that I am getting from my own brother. Why should I forgive him? Am I not allowed to be bitter? Am I not allowed to be angry? Update 4. Work wife or wife? I will not bore you guys with details. You can check my profile for it. My husband and I are getting a divorce. He has not stopped convincing me to stay, but the shamelessness of his activities is sending me to the moon. We are legally still married. From what I have heard, he is dating his work wife, aka the girl he pretended to hate. He was never someone who posts a lot on Instagram or Facebook, but he has been flooding his feed with her pictures. I know he is doing this to piss me off, and I am an idiot to stalk his new girlfriend. She has pictures of him all over his feed. In every caption he is work husband. Yes, I get that she is immature. I know I shouldn't care, but I do. I wish I was strong enough to not give a F. But I do. I struggle with being confident and doing the gray rock technique. But it is hard. Regardless of what he did or how much he humiliated me, I still loved him. I still had dreams about us and about our future. I am afraid to start from zero and picking up the pieces of my broken trust while he is having wild sex with his work wife. I keep telling myself, it is not real. He is just falling for the manic pixie dream girl. But it hurts to know he will choose her rather than me. Well, I made that choice. It was my choice to divorce him. It was my choice to move out. I wanted to be a mother and have a husband that loves me. But I am starting from zero and running out of time. If I was desperate, I would have forgave him, but I cannot. My heart doesn't allow me to. Why is your work wife more important than your wife? Why did I have to compete for your attention when she was getting it for free? I do not want to be jealous, but I am. I wish I could reconcile, but knowing me and what I have learned, it is not meant for me. I hate living a contradictory life where I do not care about him, but I still care enough that it hurts he easily replaced me. Update 5. Guilt of moving on with life. I am separated from my husband because he had an emotional affair. I think the affair was physical too, but he still doesn't want to admit it. But I do not want to be in his drama anymore. The evidence of his emotional affair was enough. It's been 2 months since we are separated. He has already started dating his app. Right now, I am dealing with depression and anxiety. I have started therapy as well. But deep down I feel so down. Like during the holidays, we used to spend together locked inside. I never thought I would spend it alone now. But I think I effed up. I am currently with my parents. They always hosts these big Christmas dinners. I met a guy who is the son of my father's friend. He is divorced and has a kid. He and I hooked up. I guess I was just lonely. I am never someone who has random hookups, but I feel this immense guilt in me. Like I am the one who is cheating on my husband. I do not feel well. Not because the sex was bad, but because I am still a married woman. I still feel attached to my STBX, even though he has already moved on with his manic pixie dream girl. Did any of you who started dating after separation felt guilty about being with other people? Update 6. My STBX and his app are now in an open relationship. 2 days ago, my soon-to-be ex called me, and I was puzzled. What does he want now? In few months, our divorce will be finalized. He has moved on with his app. He called to ask me how I am. It was small chit-chat. He then asked if we can hang out now. It was 9 p.m. at night. I obviously declined. The next day I got to know from a friend that his app posted on social media about being in an open relationship. Her post basically appreciating my ex and how he was understanding of her not being monogamous. She identifies as poly, and they are in an open relationship. This whole thing made me feel weird. Like, who TF did I marry? What the F is he doing? He used to be monogamous like me. Now for her he is willing to be in an open relationship? I know I shouldn't concern myself with their life, but it is just weird. You cheated on me, put me through hell, you are dating your app, and now you guys are in non-monogamous relationship. I don't think I knew him well. I am seriously questioning my skills on judging people. Has he always been like this? Final update: should I be worried about how my husband talks about his female nemesis? Hi everyone, it's been a long time. I was busy so I couldn't post much. The good news is I am officially divorced. As many of you suggested, I didn't get a house in the divorce like many of you suggested. Honestly, I didn't even want it. I am living with my parents now for a while. I know it sucks because I am in my 30s and have to start from zero. There were times I wanted to stop the divorce and reconcile. But the disrespect towards me and my marriage is something I cannot get past. I know many people PM'd me to reconsider it, but sorry to disappoint you. As for my ex, he is dating his nemesis. He still insists nothing more happened. They didn't have sex. The biggest plot twist for me was when I came to know that he and his mistress are in an open relationship. It was funny to me, but now I don't have to hear from them. I am not dating anyone now. Maybe take a break from dating. Thank you all for supporting me. Reddit has been a great distraction for me during these tough times. Next story. Am I the butthole my ex-fiancé tried to get my wife to cheat on me? I think my ex-fiancé Jess 31F might have tried to get my wife Olivia 30F drunk and cheat on me. My wife thinks I am overreacting and overthinking the whole situation. Can someone tell me if I would be in butthole to ask Olivia to stop being friends with Jess immediately? For context, Jess and I started dating during the sophomore year of our college. We met through mutual friends and connected instantly. She was charming and outgoing and made friends instantly everywhere she went. I am more shy and nerdy, but I enjoyed going out to parties with her. We got engaged on our graduation day as both our families were attending. I got a job in a big tech company right after college and Jess moved in with me while looking for jobs. That is when the relationship started going downhill. Jess was an art major and had trouble finding a stable job. She did a bunch of freelance work and mostly worked from home. I was overwhelmed with work. She always wanted to go out to bars and clubs, and I wanted to rest in the evening after 10-12 hours of work. I was okay with her going out with friends alone, and I would sometimes tag along on the weekend. It bothered me that she was still in her party girl phase. She complained that I was becoming boring and should enjoy my early 20s before we settled down. I was also not happy with the friends she hung out with, as there was a lot of drinking and drug use. Even when I went out with her friends, she would be extremely flirty with guys in her friends group. Her excuse was always that she gets flirty when she is drunk, or she was just joking. I had enough and decided to call off the engagement after 2 years, as we were just different people at that point. The breakup was messy, and she kept trying to get back with me for almost a year. There were some incidences where Jess may not have acted in her best judgment, and I blocked her from all my social media. I did not want to deal with the drama and wanted to move on. I also got a transfer to another town around that time and never heard from Jess again. This is when I started dating my wife, Olivia. My wife was the exact opposite of Jess. She was very soft-spoken and a homebody like me. She knew I was engaged before. We dated for 3 years and happily married for 2 years now. However, one of the sticking points we always had was my Thursday nights. 3 of my closest college friends are now scattered all across the country, and we generally play a video game together on Thursday evenings since our college days. Olivia complained that she gets bored during that time. About 6 months ago, Olivia told me she got a Facebook invite for a group where they had painting and wine nights on Thursdays. It was mostly 8-10 women who got together at someone's house and spent the evening painting, drinking wine and gossiping. According to Olivia, it was just a few housewives and divorcees, and they welcomed her. One of the women's name was Jess, but I did not think much of it. 2 weeks ago, Olivia told me it was Jess's birthday, and they wanted to a ladies' night at a club. Olivia hates loud music, but Jess convinced her to come for dinner and some drinks. On that night, I got a call from Olivia at 10 p.m. asking me if I could come and pick her up. I could tell something was wrong and immediately left to pick her up. I went to the bar and went in to pick up Olivia. I was shocked when I realized that her friend Jess was my ex-fiancee. She also looked surprised to see me there. I was polite and said hello to everyone, but Olivia wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. After we went in the car, I told Olivia that Jess was my ex-fiancee whom I had not seen for almost 7 years. Olivia was shocked to hear it, and she did not know about it. It was crazy since I did not even know she lived in the same city as us. Olivia told me Jess was the one who had started the painting group. She had divorced her husband 2 years ago and moved to our city for a fresh start. The reason why she called me was because she was getting uncomfortable with the situation at the bar. Since Jess and one of the other women were single, they kept on encouraging guys hitting on them and inviting them over to their table. Jess was trying to get everyone drunk and was asking Olivia to open up and have fun. She was constantly hyping up Olivia to 2 of the guys who bought them a round of drinks. At this point, Olivia excused herself to go to the restroom and called me to pick her up. I am not happy with the situation, but I am also not mad at Olivia. I am just uncomfortable with Olivia hanging out with Jess. I told Olivia about the same. Olivia told me that she was never going to put herself in the same situation again with Jess or anyone else. Also, this friends group is the only real social life she has since we both are in a completely new city. She does not want to stop going to her painting nights with her friends. I brought up the thought that Jess could be acting in malice. But Olivia told me she did not think Jess would know I was her husband, as Olivia never showed my picture to anyone in the group. She also said that it's been 7 years since we broke up. Jess is a kind person, and I should not judge her based on one night when she was drunk. She still wants to stay friends with Jess. On one hand, I do not want to separate Olivia from her friends. But my gut feeling is telling me something is off in this situation. Besides, it feels weird to have my ex be friends with my wife. Am I the butthole to want Olivia to stop being friends with Jess because of my gut feeling? Or should I just let it go as it's Olivia's call to make? Update. I posted about how my ex-fiancé tried to get my wife to cheat on me 3 months ago. Things were good since then, but last week has been crazy, and I wish my wife were not as naive to let Jess back in our lives. I really need help on what I can do at this point. For reference, I broke up with my ex-fiancee Jess 7 years ago and have been together with my wife for 5 years, married for 2. After the night of Jess's birthday, where she tried to get my wife drunk and flirt with strangers, I had a long conversation with my wife. I laid down why I was uncomfortable with her hanging out with Jess. My wife agreed with most of what I said, but she feels that enough time has passed now where we can let things go. She also talked to Jess, and she told her that she had no idea about me and it's just one happy coincidence. Jess also insisted to my wife that she moved on with her life after our breakup, found love, and unfortunately the marriage did not last. She told Olivia that maybe we all could go out for dinner together and clear out the issues. Jess also insisted that she was just having fun at the bar, and apologized to my wife if her drunk behavior made her uncomfortable. My wife asked me if I would be okay with their friendship, as she has not found a social group in the new town for a long time and Jess seems like a changed person. She also told me that she would only meet these women during her art night and not go out on girls' nights or trips. I felt that as long as Olivia was comfortable, I should not have any reason to be worried. We also had dinner with Jess once and Jess was very friendly. She told me about what happened in her marriage and how she is on her healing journey right now. She also apologized to me for her behavior during our last few months together. Jess also now owns a business and works as a freelance artist and graphic designer. I also was gracious as we were just 23 and I harbor no ill feelings. My wife also started hosting art night at our place once a month or so, and I had to move to my office for my game nights. Last week, after the art night, Jess and one other lady hung back, and we were all drinking wine and chatting. The other lady was asking questions about Jess and I. Jess told her that it was old history, and I went no contact with Jess for 4 years. That was the reason why she had no idea about Olivia. Olivia looked at me and asked Jess, "You mean 7 years ago, right?" Jess said no, and that was when we broke up. However, we met every time I came back to my hometown. I thought she was drunk, so I corrected her again that it was 7 years ago, and she was misremembering things. Jess said maybe, and we moved on. The next day, Jess sent a bunch of photos to my wife of me and Jess hanging out. They were just innocent photos like us having dinner, at a music festival, working out together, etc. The weirdest part was I had a few tattoos on my body that I got after I broke up with Jess. I also never owned the clothes the person in the photo was wearing. Even the photos were timestamped to 4 years ago, Christmas 2019. Olivia freaked out because we started dating in summer 2019. I did make a trip alone to my hometown in Christmas 2019. However, I never met Jess. She started asking me why I did not tell her about meeting Jess. I tried to tell her that these things never happened, but she does not believe me. She also called Jess and Jess told her that we met because I was back in town. However, we were just platonic at that point, and it's not what my wife is thinking. I confronted Jess and she told me that I am stupid to not tell Olivia about meeting her, and also not telling her about Olivia. She says that I told her I am still single. Olivia is very angry at me. She is not believing a word I am saying. I kept on telling her that I have not seen her for 7 years. Olivia says she does not mind me meeting her, but I should have told her as we were together. I volunteered to show her all my phone records during that time, but they only go back to 3 years on my carrier. I am confused how those photos can even exist when I never met her. They are definitely photos from when I was with Olivia, as I look more muscular in these pictures and also have tattoos that I did not have back then. I even told her she can call my friends and family and ask them about the trip, but she says that she has all the photos of my trip and my friends and family will cover for me. Can someone please help me what I can do in this case? I need to convince Olivia that this is all false, but she is just angry at me and giving me silent treatment. I swear that I did not meet Jess during that trip and am caught up in this mess without my fault. Update 2. I wrote a post few days ago regarding my ex-fiancé who befriended my wife months ago lied to my wife about us meeting 4 years ago, when I actually went to NC with her for more than 7 years. She even sent my wife a few pictures from the time we met. My wife was upset with me because we started dating 5 years ago, and the photos were taken 6 months after we started dating. I want to thank a lot of you for extending support and help. This has been a horrible week that just kept on getting worse. I do not blame my wife for believing Jess. Jess seemed to be a changed person from the girl I broke up 7 years ago. I felt bad about her being in an abusive marriage for almost 3 years with a narcissistic husband. She got her life back together, was doing great with her work, and also started her own business. She had me rooting for her too, and I was proud of her journey. I could see why my wife liked her. After Jess sent photos to my wife, I tried every possible thing to prove that the pictures were fake. I showed them to 3 acquaintances who told me that they can help me. None of them were able to find any inconsistencies with the photos. I also called my parents and my friend who I met during that trip. My mom saw the photo and recognized that the gym photo was taken in the IMCA gym where my parents go. She remembered that I used their guest passes during that visit. My friend also identified the park where the music festival photo was taken. He confirmed that we had gone there during my visit for a Christmas tree lighting ceremony. Things were just getting really confusing as how photos exist between Jess and I at these venues. Jess, on the other hand, was comforting my wife, telling she did not imply anything when she sent her the photos. She said that she was married at that time, and we just ran into each other a couple of times during that visit. Jess was telling my wife to not overthink the photos, and I must have forgotten that we ran into each other. What calmed my wife down a bit was my mom talking to her and telling her that in no world would I hang out with Jess after all the stuff that happened during our breakup. Things got really messy, and there was a reason why she was blocked across everything. My wife agreed with her and told me to just let it go. However, it was just a horrible feeling as I did not have any real proof that this was fake, and I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop anytime. I finally caught a huge break last night. My wife decided to not go to her painting night with Jess and friends yesterday and told me she just wants to be left alone and wants to read. I wanted to sit with her, but she told me to go and play with my friends as she wanted to be alone. During our gaming session, I told my 3 closest friends what happened and how there are photos of me and Jess at locations that I actually visited during that trip. The session turned into them bashing Jess' old stories and how manipulative she is. After our gaming session was over, my friend Jim called me on phone and told me he wanted to talk about something important about Jess. He asked me if I was alone, as he did not want Olivia to listen in. I told him I need to go to a different room. I put my phone on speaker and went in our bedroom where Olivia was sitting and prompted her to stay quiet. Jim told me that he has been in contact with Jess for 3 years ago. He said that she was still married but was planning to leave her husband. They knew each other because Jess was my GF all through college. The initial conversations were just catching up and Jess complaining about her husband. He told me Jess inquired about me a few times as she had learned I got engaged to Olivia around that time. He said that they have been talking for a while now. Jess also told him about the coincidence that Olivia was in her painting group and how she met me few months ago when I went to pick up Olivia. She told Jim that Olivia came to her birthday and was heavily drinking and flirting with guys. She even sent him few pictures. There were a few with Jess and Olivia together, and then Olivia hugging and kissing a guy on his cheeks. I asked him to forward me the photos and he sent them to me on Discord. Jess told him that I am still the same insecure guy and must be tracking Olivia as I showed up at the bar at 10 p.m. like a parent to pick Olivia. Jess did not know that Olivia had called me from the restroom to pick her up. Jess made a joke to Jim about how ironic it is that I broke up with Jess because she loved to party, and now I am married to a party girl. I asked Jim why he did not share those pictures with me before. He said that he did not want to stir the pot in my marriage without knowing all the details. I was really mad at Jim at this point and asked him what else did he tell Jess about me. He said not a lot and they barely talked about me. However, Jess was obsessed with Olivia and would badmouth her a lot. So, Jim might have told her a bit about Olivia, like what she does, where she works, etc. I asked Jim did he ever tell Jess about our game nights, and he said he has, and how Olivia complains about being bored. I told Jim to not tell Jess about our conversation. Jim asked me if I not tell anyone that he and Jess are in contact. He said that his wife might get the wrong idea, and he just wanted to reach out because things seemed to get really weird in my life. Olivia was listening to everything and staring in disbelief at the photos that Jim shared. As soon as I hung up the phone, she started explaining to me that these were the same guys that Jess called to their table and were buying them drinks. However, she never even stood next to them, let alone hug or kiss them. She also pointed out that her Apple Watch in the photo was on her wrong wrist. She was also spooked out that Jess knew about her for almost 3 years, and there was no way she did not recognize her when she joined the painting group. Olivia was also pissed at Jim for talking to Jess and backstabbing me for so many years. She pointed out the fact that Jim was missing for one day when he and his family visited us last year. Jim was gone for the entire day and came home late at night because he had to work from his office in our city. 15 minutes after our conversation, Jess messaged my wife and told her that they missed her at the painting night, and she will see her next week. Her level of deceit really gave us chills, and Olivia was really worried. Olivia wants to go no contact with Jess, but I am worried that it may not be enough. I also still don't know how Jess knows about what I did when I visited my parents in 2019 and all the locations I went to. I also don't know who else Jess is talking to and sending Olivia's fake photos to show her in bad light. It's really unnerving, and I am just thinking about how I should confront Jess and make sure she never bothers us again. Thanks again for all the help from the community, and your messages really helped me keep my sanity during this rough week. Next story. My fiance's brother just passed away, and now I'm lost. My fiance 27M, I'll call him Mike, and I 28F are about to be married in August. However, his brother 23M, I'll call him Steve, just passed away yesterday. I'm sorry, but this is kinda heavy. Steve was involved in an accident on his way to work yesterday. I won't go into details, but Steve was even rushed to the hospital and had a chance to talk to Mike. However, after a few hours, the doctor told us he's gone. Mike and I were asleep when someone called about Steve's condition. Of course, we hurriedly drove to the hospital. No bathing, no breakfast, no nothing. We just put on the first decent clothes we grabbed, then rushed. I also just bought some food from the hospital cafeteria while Mike was in the waiting room, as it has been almost 12 hours since we last ate. This is the first time I saw Mike being really emotional and lost. Usually, he's very funny and lighthearted. He could always find a silver lining in any situation, and he can make me laugh however terrible my mood is. He's also usually sharp-witted. He's also the type of guy who always knows what to do in every situation. If ever we're lost on a remote island in an exotic area with no money, phones, or maps, for sure Mike would know how we'd find our way home also. He'll find a way for us to enjoy our stay there. Now, I can't even talk to him properly because he's just staring at a wall, and he's like mumbling to himself. It really feels like he's a different person. We haven't talked about and processed everything because it all happened so fast. Of course, I'm not blaming him for anything given what happened. We're both still in shock, and I can't even imagine how terrible he feels right now. As for Steve, he's really like a brother to me. Mike and I have been together since high school, so for more than 10 years, Steve and I have been treating each other like siblings. He's like Mike's carbon copy in terms of humor and intellect. We had a really tight bond, so we had a lot of inside jokes, teasing, ganging up on Mike, and giving each other advice. I looked back to our last conversation, and his last message to me last night was, "Yo yo yo, our dream photo confirmed earlier. Your prenup shoot is a go for June 1st. So excited." and I didn't even reply to him because I was busy with work. I also read back our conversation history, and I've been crying and laughing simultaneously because of all his stupid jokes. He even asked me if I had cute cousins or friends that could be his date to the wedding. Also, Mike and Steve were really close. Their mom passed away when Steve was born, and their dad had been bedridden due to stroke since 2015, and he passed away last 2021. They also don't have other relatives they know of. Through these years, Mike had been his family's breadwinner, and he also supported Steve financially through his high school and college years. Their relationship was really weird to me because I was used to having a lot of fights and passive aggressiveness with my sisters, but with them, it's like they're always getting along. Their most major rift I can recall was when Steve mistakenly ate the burger that Mike brought home and was reserved for me. But then we all just laughed it off after they talked it out. Even when Steve came out as gay, he really thought Mike would disown him because of their very religious upbringing, but Mike accepted him wholeheartedly. Mike's even the one constantly teasing Steve with his crushes like Harry Styles and the Cobra Kai guy. It was even Mike who's always more excited when we're going to Pride March with Steve and his friends. Right now, Mike's really lost. When they were orphaned, my family essentially adopted them. Right now, as I'm typing this in our apartment, my parents are with Mike, along with my aunt who's a nurse, giving him emotional support and guiding him with whatever needs to be processed medical, legal, police, etc. My sister also volunteered to do all his stuff chores, paperwork, coordination with his work, etc. I just came home now to get some clothes and to notify my work that I'll be out for the week. Then I'll meet them at the police station later. My dad also offered that to cover all the expenses, but Mike refused. He said that since Steve is his brother, he wants to do this himself as a way to honor Steve. But my dad insisted, so we're covering 50% for now to help lighten Mike's burdens. Right now though, my dilemma is, do we still push through with our wedding? I know this sounds shallow, petty, and insensitive given everything happening, but I still need to think about the practical side of things. I mean, we're fortunate to have some hefty funds allotted for the wedding, but it's not to the point that we can afford to have a lot of it go to waste. So I have to think about our financials. We have a prenup shoot in 3 weeks. We're currently in talks with the reception venue, and we have appointments with food, flour, and other suppliers in the upcoming weeks. We've also booked other things: the church, the band, and the hair and makeup artist. So I need to know if anything has to be canceled. Hopefully, we can get refunds, but I'd understand if it's not possible anymore. Plus, a lot of our friends and my relatives have already confirmed, some have even booked flights since they're coming from other countries. I haven't really talked to Mike or my parents about any of this. I really don't want to bring anything up because of what happened to Steve, but I feel like I have to step up in this aspect so it doesn't add to Mike's burdens. Above all, it really feels wrong not to have Steve there. Not just for Mike, but for me too. He was always the one who helped patch things up whenever Mike and I had misunderstandings and minor fights, and he was also Mike's accomplice when he proposed to me. He was also supposed to be Mike's best man. I don't know how we should forward with this. Of course, my priority is Mike's well-being, as well as our future families, but I also have to balance it out by thinking of our finances. I'm really sorry if this post has been such a long, incoherent, heavy mess, but I hope you can help me out. Usually, it's really Mike who knows what to do in situations like these, but our brains are all scrambled, and I'm having difficulty collecting and organizing my thoughts. P.S. Steve, I know you're up there. I hope you know that your brother and I love you so much. I hope you're much happier, and I hope you can find a baby blue cardigan, because I know you get cold easily, and that's your favorite color. I really miss you, and I still hope this is all just a bad dream. I pray that when I wake up tomorrow, you're in the kitchen, drinking your super sweet coffee I always tease you for. But in any case, don't worry about Mike. I got him. Rest well. We love you. Edit. I'm sorry for previously mixing up Steve and Mike in some paragraphs. I was so scatterbrained when I wrote this. Update. Hi, so just a quick update no one really asked for. Mike and I are not pushing through with the wedding for the time being. While I was posting on Reddit asking strangers and stressing out about what to do, Mike apparently still has a handle on things despite everything. 2 days after we received the news about Mike's brother passing, Mike talked to me, asking me if it was alright if we could postpone the wedding for now. He was very apologetic to me, and I could tell his mind was still trying to keep up with everything that was happening. I told him not to worry about it, and I reassured him that me and my family are by his side through this. Mike was still very much shell-shocked by everything that happened. My sisters and their boyfriends took over coordinating with our wedding vendors, suppliers, and guests. I'm so grateful that everyone was accommodating enough to understand our situation. We either got a full refund or were allowed to reschedule at a later date for each of our vendors. Our guests who had already booked flights were also very gracious and pretty much just wanted to commiserate with me and Mike. My nurse aunt took care of all the hospital procedures and paperwork, while my dad has been walking Mike through all the police and legal proceedings related to Steve's passing. My mom took care of the funeral, and it was a beautiful service. Steve's friends also organized a separate memorial tribute for him, and I really felt how much Steve was loved by the people he touched. My only job throughout all this was to look after Mike, making sure he ate and slept even though it was difficult, and just assuring him that I'm here for him. Mike and I went home to our apartment last Saturday. It was his first time back since, and it was also the first time we were alone since Steve's passing. When we got to our bedroom, Mike asked if he could have a few moments alone. It was the first time he cried and broke down, and he was screaming through his pillows and all, but I could still hear him back in our kitchen. We've decided to look into grief counseling, and we're having our first sessions tomorrow. We're going separately. As for our wedding, I assured him that there's absolutely no pressure. I'll be right here waiting whenever he's ready. Now that we've gone through the past 2 weeks, looking back, me stressing out about finances and all really seemed so trivial compared to the emotional, physical, and mental roller coaster we experienced. I can't even begin to imagine what Mike is going through, but I know he'll get through this. That's it. Just wanted to share this update with anyone who cares. P.S. Steve, you know I made sure you looked fabulous even in your final moments. We miss you so much. Dear, we love you. Next story. Am I overreacting for not trusting my wife's ex-coworker? I 32M have been married to my wife 36F going on 9 years. Recently we have had a fight over one of her former coworkers, we can call him Matt. Matt and my wife hadn't been working together for a long time, maybe a couple months at most. I noticed some behavior that had me suspicious and feeling disrespected. My wife began constantly talking about Matt. It was every sentence from her was in some relation to Matt. Matt this and Matt that. It eventually got to the point I asked her if she could speak about him less, as it was becoming annoying that every conversation had to do with him. A few weeks later my wife tells me that she is going to have a girls' night out with her female coworkers. I think that's cool that she is going to have fun with them. She states they'll be going to an audition for one coworker and then hit the bars. All good, I believe, and then guess who is going to also come to this all-female event? Matt. I found it odd that an all-female get-together would involve a male. Just to preface, Matt is straight. Matt invited my wife and son to a trampoline place. So I took the opportunity to invite myself to meet the guy who my wife constantly talks about and invite stags along with everything she does. We get to the place and spend 2 hours there. Matt has spoken to me 0 times outside of introductions and won't acknowledge I exist. I am quite an intimidating person, so it can be difficult to approach me and engage with. That being said, if I were Matt and had the opportunity to speak with a woman's husband that I'm constantly talking to and inviting her places, I would absolutely get to know him. This gave me another red flag about the guy. Time goes by and my wife is talking about Matt 0, but still texting him all the time. One Saturday after our son's gymnastics class, we get home and my wife exclaims, "Well, there goes my convertible ride." I am confused and ask about what she just said. She tells me Matt bought a new convertible and was going to leave as soon as we got home to go ride around with him. This gives me another red flag as why wasn't brought up before. I believe everyone can do as they want and don't need permission to do the things they want, but I do think giving your partner a heads up prior to things is important. My wife starts telling me that Matt has Zai's gifts for our son. I find it odd that another man is buying gifts for my son when it is neither holidays nor his birthday. This gives me a yellow flag at the very least about what this guy is doing. Now here's the kicker that relates to him not speaking to me. When I would pick my wife from work, my son would be with me. Matt would deliberately walk in front of my car and a couple spaces down before returning by going around the back of my car and only speak with my son. I found this extremely disrespectful as he went out of his way to not acknowledge or speak to me and would sneakily try to speak to my son and wife. Matt decided he would invite my wife and other women to a rave. Nothing wrong with dancing. The issue arises that he did not invite any males to go, nor did he invite any romantic partners of the women. I told my wife that I would like to go, and she told Matt. He canceled the plans. This is another huge red flag that he would invite women to a rave and cancel when a romantic partner decides they are going to go. He tried to shift blame onto me by saying he couldn't buy the tickets because I hadn't made up my mind, even though I said I was going. After all of this, I decided that Matt is not a good guy and is trying to weasel his way into my marriage. There's just too much that I am seeing that I can't ignore. Finally, we get to what has caused a huge fight between my wife and I, which is a stupid package. My wife ordered something and I, being curious, asked what it was. She tells me, "None of your business." This brings up a red flag. Then I ask who it's for, and again I get the same response. So eventually I pick up the package and ask my wife, "What is it?" and again, "It's none of your business." I get angry because of all this Matt stuff and yell, "Why are you being so secretive?" She yells at me saying it's a gift for Father's Day and wanted it to be a surprise. Yes, I did think it was a gift for Matt. So now my wife doesn't feel like I trust her, even though it's not her that I don't trust. Now she is not speaking with me. I find it ridiculous that we are having a fight over a random ex-coworker that should mean absolutely nothing to our relationship. Yet here we are. You would think after almost 9 years of marriage that some nobody wouldn't be able to cause this amount of friction. Am I overreacting in thinking Matt is up to no good? Am I overreacting that Matt could be trying to weasel his way in? Am I overreacting that my wife is being blind to everything that Matt has tried? Thank you to everyone for your replies and thoughts. Update. First off, I want to say thank you to everyone that commented and messaged me. You all are wonderful and your words helped me quite a lot. My wife and I have spoken about the situation. I expressed myself and how everything was affecting myself and our marriage. I put my foot down about Matt and that either she ended her emotional affair or I was headed over to his job and handling him. Yesterday, I received a text message from my wife stating she had terminated her friendship with Matt. When we were both home together, she wouldn't speak with me, which was fine because I didn't have much to say to her either. She showed me her text telling him they are no longer friends and to go their separate ways, though her reasoning for doing so was due to the fact I was willing to confront him at his job and was headed to do so. She has deleted and blocked his number so he cannot contact her. I have offered marriage counseling and left the ball in her court. From here, I'm focusing on what is best for me and my son. Whatever she does is her choice, whether it be salvage our marriage or whatever else may cross her mind. I'm not worried about it in no small part thanks to you all. Many of you pointed out things that hadn't crossed my mind and I can better look out for in the future. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel James Stories.